Hello you guys, and welcome back to another video of mine. On today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to tint your eyebrows. Now this was one of the most requested things that you guys wanted me to do. I've received so many emails, messages from you guys wanting to know how to tint your own eyebrows. So that is what I'm going to be showing you guys today. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're interested in watching this, then please keep watching. So to get started, you guys need to make sure that you cleanse your face and your eyebrows, just to make sure that there's no any dry skin or anything like that, so it doesn't interfere with the products when placing it onto your eyebrows. So I use this brand. Now there's two types. There's one for sensitive skin and there's one that's a little bit more intense. The only difference is this one is more for sensitive skin, so this one isn't as strong and active as this one. That's why this one comes out a little bit more darker than this one. I usually use this one. I never really use this one because my eyebrows are quite dark. So I'm going to be doing both of these today. So I'm going to be doing one on one eyebrow and the other on the other eyebrow, so you guys have a little bit more of an understanding of how both of these work. Now I do have like two red dots here. I was fixing my eyebrows before and there was ingrowns, and I lied to myself, don't touch it because it's going to be red for the video, but it was just there. So I went at them both and now it's just like red. So I will be covering that up with concealer later on. So what you're going to need is an eyebrow brush. I'm just using my Anastasia Beverly Hills brow brush, and you're also going to need one of these. Now you don't have to use this specific brush, but as long as it's like a really thin brush. Got the developer gel as well to activate the tint. You put half in, so the amount you put of this one is the same amount that you put of this one in, so it's just 50-50. I also have this as well. We're gonna go in and use this to clean up the area when the tint is on, so we can shape them to how we want our brows to stand out. This won't stand out as much on my eyebrows, but that is why I use it. If you have like more lighter hair and you use the black one, it is going to stand out a lot more. It won't stain your skin as much as this one. If you use this black one and you've got blonde hair, it's going to come out really black, whereas if you use a sensitive one, it's going to come out a little bit more darker than your actual hairs. It just brings out your natural hairs a little bit more darker and just stains your skin a little more in comparison to this one, whereas it completely stains your skin and it is very dark. Now keep in mind, if you guys do use this one and it comes out really dark, it will fade within a few days. These are basically just like hair dye. The more you wash your brows, the more it's going to fade. So if this comes out too dark, don't stress. Within a few days, it will fade out. I actually got these online from the website, so I will link the website where I got them from just over here. And they usually come with these as well. So this is just like a little container, but just like a little thingy. And then it comes with like a stick as well. So you use this to mix the product. So we're going to get started. Now I'm going to start off by using the lighter shade. So I'm gonna grab the little container that I have, and I'm just going to place a couple drops, just like that. And then I'm just going to place the same amount, a couple drops. Okay, that was a bit more than a couple, but no, that's pretty good. You will sort of tell if you need a little bit more develop or if you need a little bit more color when doing this, but I've put in the right amount, which is good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and mix it. Now make sure you just give it a really good mix and make sure that the products both combine together nicely. You're also going to need like another little container with water to remove the product later on. I'm gonna zoom this in for you guys so you can see. So I'm just going to brush my eyebrows downwards first. So I'm just going to start placing that on my brows. Now with this one, you don't have to be too gentle with it because it's not a very strong tint compared to the other one. So even if it does get a bit messy, do not stress. It's not going to stain your skin as much. Well, it doesn't stain my skin. It may happen to you, but for me, it doesn't really with this one. And then I'm gonna go and just start brushing that to the side. Just like that. And then we're just gonna place more and we're gonna leave that on the top of the hairs. So you wanna make sure you get the corners as well. You sort of wanna draw the shape on, and then we're gonna go in with the brush and knead it all up. And I just like to stretch my eyebrow up like that. And then just make sure that it's really in there. And I'm sorry for the lighting if it's changing. I am recording in my room and I'm like facing the sunlight, and it, you know, the lighting just keeps changing, but it's all good. Now I'm gonna grab a tissue, and now I'm going to grab this brush, and I'm also going to grab my tint remover, and I'm gonna use that to clean up the areas and just shape my brows now. So I'm just going to grab some like that. Now we're going to wipe it off from the top and start shaping. So I like to start from the inner corner of my brow, and then I just push to the side, creating a nice clean line. And then I like to go back into the corners and make sure that I remove all of that. And now we're gonna go in and do the bottom. So just like you're applying concealer, you're gonna start creating that line and the thickness of your brows. And then I like to go with my tissue and just remove the sides that can easily be wiped off. And then we're gonna just remove any of the product that's on the brush onto the tissue, and we're gonna keep going in with the tint remover till we're satisfied with the shape, until it's nicely cleaned. But I'm gonna go back in with the leftover tint that I have in here, and I'm just going to place that on the top of my brows. So just at the front here, I'm just going to place where the gaps are and just cover it up and just sort of stay in between the lines where I've shaped it. Once I have done this brow, I'm not going to jump in straight away and do this brow because I do need some time applying on the darker one, and I have to work with that a lot more faster than this one. So I'm gonna wait for about 5 minutes and let this sort of dry. I don't want it to be crispy dry. I still want it to be just a little bit moist, and then I'm going to wipe it off. So I'm gonna wait 4 minutes, and then I'm gonna remove this one and then shape it with concealer. We're just gonna wait a few more minutes till this dries, remove it, and then we're gonna move on to this one. Okay, once you have let the tint sit for about 4 to 5 minutes, like I said, you don't want it to be too crispy dry, so it's still a bit wet, which I like. And the way to tell, a little bit of the product will go onto your finger, but it won't be as much as it would be if it was still completely wet. So I have my Mickey Mouse mug, and I'm just using Kleenex tissues, just any tissue really, and we're just going to dip that in the water just like that, and we're just gonna squeeze any of the extra water. So I'm gonna have 2 tissues. I've got a dry one and I've got a wet one. So I'm going to start removing the tint. Now I like to press on it first rather than completely wiping it, because it is still a bit dry on your brows. If you completely wipe it, you don't want to ruin any of your hairs and pull any of them out. So I like to soak it first, just like that, and then I go in and start wiping it off, just being very gentle with it. And then I go in with the dry, and then I just start wiping that off. And as you can tell, it is very lightly tinted. It's not too strong, and that is what I like, just like that. And then what I like to do is go in, even though I haven't wiped off the tint completely, sometimes I like to just leave it on. So I'm going to just brush my eyebrows up and blend it into my hairs. As you can see, it is lightly tinted. It's not too dark. I'm just gonna sit it like that. Now I haven't completely removed the tint, but I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to take any more off. I'm just gonna let it dry. The tint is just going to get darker. So we're gonna leave that like that. I'm pretty happy with the way that's turned out. And I'm going to grab the brush that I used to remove the tint off my brows, and I'm just going to clean any of the tint that's on the brush just so it doesn't stain. And now I'm going to use my concealer and this brush to conceal the underneath of my eyes before I get started onto the other one. And I'm going to do the same thing for the top of my brows. And I'm just going to brush my eyebrows upwards. And you can feel the product that's still there. It's still a bit dry, but that's okay. And then we're just going to just tuck in the hairs that are sticking out. I don't mind if there's sometimes a little bit of a gap, just gives it that nice natural finish. So that's basically it. That's the natural tint. It's just lightly tinted my brows. It's not too heavy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to this brow, and I'm going to use the more intense tinting product, and I'm going to show you guys the difference between the both. So I've gone ahead and I've already cleaned these. Now I'm going to go in and do the same thing. I'm going to pour half of each of the product. Now for this step, I'm not going to be using this brush. I'm actually going to be drawing in the product with this brush, because we need this to be very defined and we need to take our time with this, so we don't want to rush it. I'm going to go in with the stick, and I'm just going to mix both the products in together. I'm not going to talk while doing this, but I will do a voiceover when I'm editing the video. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to do a voiceover. So what we want to do is basically do the same thing that we've done with the other brow. We're just going to draw in the tint as if we're filling in our brows. And with this tint, what you want to do is you want to try stay in between the brows as much as you can and not go all messy like we did with the other one, because as mentioned, this tint is really strong and we don't want to go too crazy as it will stain your skin. So basically what we're going to do is just do the same thing that we've done with the other brow, fill it in, and then once that's done, we're just going to go in and clean around the brows with the tint remover till we're satisfied with the shape we've created. I'm finding that my arch is a little bit too high, so I'm going to go in with a tint remover now, and I'm going to start bringing that arch just a little bit down, and then I'm going to go in and just start to slowly clean in the areas where I've put tint on my skin where I don't want it to stain. Okay, so once that is on, I'm going to leave that on for about just a couple of minutes because we don't want it to be too dark. So I'm just going to leave that on for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to go in and do the same thing as we've done with the other side. We're just going to gently remove that with some water. Okay, so that's been about a minute. I'm going to go in now and start taking it off. I've just got some tissue, so I'm just going to fold that. And I'm going to grab my Mickey Mouse jug and I'm just going to soak that and then just squeeze off some water and do the same thing. Just soak that off like that nicely, and then we're going to start pushing the product. As you can tell, this one is more darker than this one. And then now we're going to brush the leftover product into the brows. So as you can tell that this one is a little bit more darker than this one. If I left this on for a little bit more longer, it would have been really dark, but I like how it's just left a really light tint. I left this one on for 1 minute, whereas this one I left it on for 5 minutes. This one is more of a quicker tint, so if I did leave this on for a little longer, it would have been really dark, but I took it off within a couple of minutes because I didn't want it to be too dark. I'm just gonna go ahead and start concealing the bottom. So what I'm going to go do now is I'm just going to go and do the rest of my face, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about what we have done. Gone in and brushed my eyebrows upwards. I am really feeling that whole bushy vibe lately. It's just nice and natural when I brush them up. So if you want your eyebrows to look more fuller, all you gotta do is just brush them upwards, and it's just gonna make it look a little bit more thicker and fuller. This is a really good tip for those that have thin brows and you guys want to make them look a little bit thick. Instead of brushing them to one side, brush them upwards so it can give it more of that fluffy, natural, bushy look. So that's what I have gone ahead and done. As you guys can tell, I've tried to make them look as even as possible in terms of color. I didn't want one brow to be darker than the other, but in saying that, I did leave this tint on for about 5 to 6 minutes, whereas with this tint, I left it on for about 2 minutes max. This is more of a light, natural tint, whereas this one, if you leave it on for longer, it will go darker. So if you wanted it to be a little bit more darker, then you can go ahead and leave that on for a little longer. But I'm really liking them. I actually haven't tinted my eyebrows in a very long time. This is the first time I've tinted them actually since I done my eyebrow transformation, which was 4 months ago. All right, you guys, well, this is basically it. This is how to tint your own eyebrows. Please leave a thumbs up. If there's any videos that you guys would like me to make, please comment down below. And until the next video, bye guys.